Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, great. All right. So when watching an event like this here, in which a certain expectation about continuity or occlusion in this case are violated, human infants do not only look longer compared to appropriate control events, but they also explore, well, they are more likely to explore the object and are also more likely to learn something new about this object, such as a new property, as has been shown in this seminal study by Starr and Feigensen. So expectancy violations can therefore provide learning opportunities, at least for human infants. In the study that I will talk about today, we presented dogs with similar occlusion events that either violated physical regularities or not. And we then measured the dog's gaze behavior, including their pupil dilation response, which in humans is correlated with increased attention, arousal, mental load, and so on. So before I show you the details of the study, I just want to show you the people who made this work possible. So the study was conducted at the Clever Dog Lab of the University of Veterinary Medicine in Vienna. And I just want to highlight the contribution here of our two dog trainers, Laura Lausager and Marion Umek. Now, dogs are not known for complex physical cognitive abilities. However, recent evidence from violation of expectation paradigms using live demonstrations have challenged this view to some extent. So in the current study, we wanted to confirm and extend these findings concerning dogs' implicit expectations about regularities in their environment using eye tracking and screen-based stimuli. We also want to establish pupillometry for cognitive research with dogs. And finally, we wanted to address the question whether expectancy violation would also stimulate object exploration in a non-human species. So in the first eye tracking studies that I will show you, we recorded the eye movements of 15 dogs while they watched short videos. These were all within subject designs with one, or depending on the experiment, 2 trials per test condition. A session would always start with 3 familiarization events before they would then see the test event. And for our main analysis, we analyzed the baseline corrected pupil size in the 4-second window following the critical test event. Now, because most of you probably have not seen how eye tracking works with dogs, I thought I'd give you a quick impression. So here you can see George, one of our participant dogs, and Laura, one of our dog trainers. George is trained with his head on the chin rest, and then Laura can adjust the focus of the lens and so on, and start a 5-point calibration. The dogs complete a 5-point calibration before each run, and before they are ready for the test, we ensure that they can do calibrations with deviations of less than 1 degree of visual angle. So you can see the calibration here on the right screen. So basically on the right screen, you can see what George can see in the other room. Okay, so after the calibration, we can show them our test stimuli. In the first experiment, we showed them simple occlusion events. So in the initial familiarization, there was just a ball rolling behind the screen. And by the way, the red dot here shows a dog watching, one of our dogs watching this video. In the test event, there was no yellow screen, but just this narrow pole. And the reappear condition, the ball either reappeared on the other side, or in disappear condition, it did not reappear. Okay, so just very briefly, I want to show you that the dogs indeed follow what's going on the screen. So what you can see here in these plots, so on the x-axis, you see the horizontal screen coordinates from left to right. And on the y-axis, you see time. The blue line shows the movements of the blue ball moving from the left side of the screen to the right side of the screen. And the black line shows the median gaze position. So you can see that the dogs, they have to start in the center. There's a gaze target in the center to start the trial. And then they quickly look at the moving ball and follow it until it disappears. Okay, so for our main analysis, we predicted larger pupils in response to the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition. And this prediction was also confirmed by our pupil size analysis. So this plot here shows the baseline corrected pupil size. On the y-axis, on the x-axis, you see time. The dotted line is basically the time point when the ball moves past the pole. And you can see following this critical event, their pupils dilate more in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition. And that was also confirmed by a time course analysis by fitting generalized additive mixed models, also comparing for the dog's current gaze position. We also conducted a dwell time analysis. So we looked at their looking time to the pole at the end of the video. So the last frame of the video was always shown for an extended period of time, 8 to 10 seconds, depending on the experiment. And we found that the dogs would significantly look longer at the pole in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition. Okay, so in the second experiment, we presented them again with a transient occlusion event in this case. In the familiarization, there was just a ball rolling along the surface. Now in the test events, we added 2 blue screens, and the ball would roll past them. In the reappear condition, nothing surprising happened, so the ball would reappear in between the 2 screens. Whereas in the disappear condition, everything was the same, but the ball did not reappear in between. The end state of the video, so the last frame, is identical across the 2 conditions. Okay, again, just to show you that they were following what's going on the screen, you see here, again, the horizontal screen coordinates on the x-axis, time on the y-axis, and the yellow line shows the movement of the yellow ball moving from the left side to the right side. And you see that the dog's gaze is following the movement nicely. Okay, we again predicted larger pupil size in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition, and again, this prediction was confirmed. So here you see again the pupil size on the y-axis, over time on the x-axis, and the dotted line here shows the time, delineates basically the time period when the ball was behind the left occluder, the left screen. The dashed dotted line delineates the period when the ball was behind the right occluder. So you can see the pupils start to dilate more in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition when it should have been visible in the disappear condition, but was not. Again, we confirmed this also by conducting a time course analysis. And we also found when we looked at the last frame of the video, and we looked at an interest area around the ball in its end position, that the dogs would look longer at it in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition. Okay, so based on a series of eye-tracking violation of expectation experiments using pupillometry, we found evidence that dogs seem to have expectations about continuity and also contact causality, that is, Mischottian launching events, at least in the sense that their pupils dilated more in response to a no-contact launching event, you can see here, compared to a contact event. But we will follow up on this in the next years to get more insights into their causal perception. Across 2 experiments, we found no evidence that they have expectations about gravity events. We showed them, for example, these stimuli here, and the dog's pupils dilated, in fact, more in the falling down condition compared to this hovering condition. And basically, we found the same in this version, where the dog's pupils dilated more in the rolling down condition as compared to the hovering condition. So it seems to, and this also matches previous work using basically live demonstrations. So it seems to be that dogs might not have strong gravity-related expectations, and there might be an interesting difference to humans, but also to some non-human primates. Okay, but does their increased attention lead to action, that is, higher persistence in exploration? So in a subsequent study that was conducted by Anna Tomasic and Laura Nipperdey, we sort of replicated this previous eye tracking study on a little stage. So we presented them again with the reappear condition and the disappear condition that you just saw. So in this case, we used a dog toy, a yellow ball that was moved from left to right on this stage, and there were also again 2 screens that would occlude parts of the trajectory of the ball. In the reappear condition, the ball again was visible also in between the 2 screens, whereas in the disappear condition, we played a little trick on them. So basically, the first ball stopped behind the left screen, and another ball was moved from the other screen. So following this demonstration, we let the dogs interact with the target object and also with other distractor toys. And we just scored how long they would explore them. Okay, so here's how that looked like in reality. So this is the stage. And now you can see the demonstration phase. This is one dog in the disappear group. So this is a between subject design. It's a bit difficult to see, but basically what you will see is, so here's the ball in the starting position that will move from the left to the right. And basically, this ball will now stop, but it will not be visible to the dog anymore. And then a second ball will be moved out from the right screen to the end position. And this dog, as you can see, is quite interested in what's going on. Okay, so following this demonstration, they were allowed to interact with the objects. So here we have the target object, the yellow ball, and 2 novel toys. And the dog can do now whatever it wants for 3 minutes. And you can see this dog is quite interested or prefers to interact with the target object and has quite a blast. Okay, so let's have a look at the results. First, let's have a look at their looking time in the demonstration phase. So indeed, we could replicate here our previous eye tracking finding. The dogs looked at the setup longer in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition. What about the exploration phase? Yes, indeed, our prediction was also confirmed here. So they preferred to interact with the target object more so in the disappear condition compared to the reappear condition. So we found some evidence for this transfer from expectancy violation to increased exploration, which at least in principle might provide learning opportunities to them. Okay, so in summary, expectancy violations also trigger increased exploration of the target object, similar to the findings with human infants. This does, of course, not mean that they explore with the intention to fill gaps in their knowledge or to test hypotheses. So what we need is more evidence on whether dogs and other animals tailor the way they explore to the expectancy violation they have encountered. What we would like to see is, well, for example, that they try to reproduce the surprising event, such as this dog that during the exploration phase dropped the ball basically onto the stage, basically replicating the event from the demonstration phase. But this, at this point, is just an anecdote. And this experiment was not really designed to test this. Another avenue that we are pursuing right now is to look into the neural correlates of expectancy violations in dogs. So we show stimuli like these, also dogs that are lying in an fMRI scanner, and have a look at their neural correlates. All right, so that's all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. We have some time for questions. Okay.
Thank you, that's fascinating. So what is your take on the innateness versus associative learning kind of nature of these abilities in dogs and in humans?
Yeah, I mean, I guess similar to the developmental, to answer that question, we would need to test puppies, right? Or very young animals. There's work with newborn chicks by Giorgio Valletregara, and they find, I'm not sure whether they find evidence that some things are present in newborn chicks. I'm not sure about, I think they have some work on occlusion event and contact causality as well. Now, whether that is the same mechanism as in mammals or in primates, we don't know, right? So I can't really answer that question. I think it's not surprising that there's not a lot of evidence for gravity expectations in dogs, given that they are not tool users. And also not very good problem solvers as compared to non-human primates. But as to the question whether this is innate or not, I don't know.
Another question?
Oh, hello. Yeah. The part about gravity, the experiment on gravity, if you were to do the same thing with children, with infants, are they taught the concept of gravity after which they understand that it would fall, or would the results be similar?
I mean, there's evidence that human infants have expectations about gravity, right? That I think has been shown many times. So I'm not sure I understand the question correctly. Can you maybe rephrase it?
I'm sorry, I didn't phrase it properly. Do human infants need to be taught the concept of gravity, or do they, before which they understand that the ball would fall, or?
At least not explicitly, right? I mean, I'm not sure what the youngest age is for which the gravity expectations has been shown, but they definitely made experiences in the first month of their life with like gravity support events. So, but I think there's no explicit teaching of this kind of physical expectations.
All right, we have time for one more question.
Thank you for the very interesting talk. Just a question again on gravity. I'm a little surprised about the result, and the question that I have is it possible that the way in which you made the experiment was inducing them to think that this was an intentional object? Did you try to consider a condition in which the ball is actually pushed? And would you have different predictions?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question. The way we set up the stimuli was always that the movement of the ball is a bit ambiguous in the sense that they start half off screen, the movement. So the onset of the video is with the ball only semi-visible. It would be interesting to see, yeah, if there are explicit prompts or hints that this is a passively moving object. I mean, one thing that we did is that the familiarization was basically a straight movement, and then the control event was the rolling down or the falling down, which sort of deviated from the familiarization. So in a way, we were quite strict in the way we designed the experiment. So perceptually, in a way, the control event was more novel than the test condition, the hovering event, which I think is maybe what happens, why the pupil dilate more actually in the control condition than the test condition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.